It's Mr. Tommy. Have you ever heard of an abolitionist? Abolitionists were people who believed slavery was wrong and they fought to end slavery in the United States and other parts of the world. You may have heard of some of these well-known abolitionists, such as Sojourner Truth, Harriet Beecher Stowe, Frederick Douglass, Lucretia Mott, or even Harriet Tubman. What about the Underground Railroad? The Underground Railroad wasn't an actual railroad, but was a system of safe houses and other locations where thousands of slaves who had escaped from the South were temporarily hidden as they traveled north, with some of those slaves staying in Ohio and even more traveling further up north to Canada in search of freedom. There were more than 20 Underground Railroad stops in central Ohio. There was the Dublin home of Dr. Eli Morris Piney, the Hanby House, located in Westerville on the campus of Otterbein University, the Kappa Sigma Fraternity House on the campus of The Ohio State University, and in Clintonville, this former funeral home, which is now a child care center, formerly known as the Clinton Chapel. For our field trip today, we're going to visit the Kelton House Museum and Garden in downtown Columbus, which was the home of abolitionists Fernando C. Kelton and Sophia Stone Kelton, and stationed on the Underground Railroad. Built around 1852, the Kelton House is located at 586 East Town Street near downtown Columbus. The house is full of most of the original furnishings that had been passed down through the family. The house remained in the Kelton family until 1975, when it was gifted to the Columbus Junior League by Grace Kelton, granddaughter of Fernando Kelton. Fernando Cortez Kelton came to Ohio from Vermont. He and his wife Sophia, who was born in Massachusetts, along with their children, were known as abolitionists and members of the local anti-slavery society. They were said to have been sympathetic to runaway slaves who had left the South seeking freedom in the North. It was important that slaves made it to Canada, since when English abolished slavery in 1837, it made all of its possessions free territories. Canada was considered a possession of England, and more than 30,000 slaves fled to Canada, where they didn't have to worry about being returned to their slave owners. The Kelton House was a stop on the Underground Railroad, and the Keltons opened their home to runaway slaves. One of those slaves was Martha Hartway. In 1864, 10-year-old Martha Hartway and her 13-year-old sister Pearl were found by Sophia Kelton hiding in the bushes of their home. They had escaped from slavery in Virginia. The story said Martha was too sick to travel any further. Her sister Pearl continued on her journey north, but Martha was confused, too sick to continue running. The Kelton family took her in, and Mrs. Kelton took care of her until she was well. Martha stayed on as a family maid and eventually married the family's handyman, Thomas Lawrence, in the home's front parlor in 1874. Martha and Thomas also later lived on land that the Kelton family had sold to them. In the basement of the Kelton House, there's an Underground Railroad learning station that replicates the type of places runaway slaves may have hid. These places were normally dark, without electricity, and most likely lit by candle. Most runaways most likely stayed just overnight, and then the runaway, when it was safe, was taken or directed to the next stop on the Underground Railroad. Many of the people who assisted runaway slaves were just ordinary people who believed slavery was wrong. I hope you enjoyed our visit to the Kelton House. The Columbus Metropolitan Library has a number of books about the Underground Railroad, like these. And if you want to know more about one of the most famous Underground Railroad conductors, like Harriet Tubman, check out Moses, when Harriet Tubman led her people to freedom. Until next time, don't forget to wear your mask, wash your hands, and continue to socially distance.
When the sun comes back and the first quail calls, follow the drink and go.